Welcome to Get Moving TV. I'm Dr. Chris Landon, and I serve as your host. Here in Ventura County, we have so many things. We've got the arts, we have the ocean, we've got the sea, we've got the mountains. We really have just a little bit of everything. But most of all, we have a lot of people here. To attract people to this county, to get them away from Los Angeles and San Francisco, these crowded, expensive areas, here we have all this land, we have the housing, we have the schools, we have California Lutheran College, Cal State Channel Islands, great Ventura College with a great innovation technology area. We've got the Navy base, we have all kinds of science going on here as well. As education. So with me today is Erick Went, and Erick, welcome to Get Moving TV.
Thank you, Doc. Really excited to be here.
So we're starting to mention, because I wanted to set this up a little bit. You're a transplant from
Silicon Valley, by way of Russia, China, and Brazil. Yeah.
So with Silicon Valley, there's a certain synergy there. There's a critical mass that seems to bring everything in. We've got the colleges up there and all the young kids and all the hep things and all the $1 million, 800 square foot houses and all that. So what could possibly have brought you to Ventura County?
Quality of life. I think that's what started it. We'd been bouncing around country to country, and I really missed. I came here for college, UCSB. And we were in Brazil one day, my brother and I, who's co-founder of my company, and we said, I really, really miss the quality of life in Southern California. And we picked a house off the internet that day and moved halfway around the world.
So that's quite a journey there. My wife was on tour, and whenever I have a steak, it's not as good as when I was in Brazil, and the sushi, like when I was with the sumo champion of Japan.
Sure, or the vodka in Russia, there's always great things all around the world, yeah.
So what have you found here? Because we want to bring the right people here. Most of the time I just tell people, but Ventura, it's halfway between Malibu and Santa Barbara. Keep driving, don't stop, keep going. So, but we do want to attract things here. So something besides just being a place where people live and just working for the county, there's got to be more here. What kinds of things, how can you guys help us out? You've been everywhere, man.
I think you nailed it, it's the people. There's a lot of places you can go around the world to find a great steak or a great bottle of vodka or some amazing sushi, but the people here are second to none. And that's what we actually missed most about it. So traveling all over the world, there's great innovation, there's great opportunity, but if you really want to get to a place where you want to live and start a family and put down roots, there's no better place that I've found in the world.
So we've got the weather, and
sure.
It's relatively affordable, and
all fantastic things. Yeah, and I think those are going to eventually be the draws if we want people to come to this area. The weather's incredible. The people are top notch. You have the beach, and you have culture. You have all these other things that people don't even know are here. But I think if people are going to come for all those things, they're going to stay for the people.
Well, we have the Ojai Playwrights Conference, and I have a couple playwrights staying in my house, so we have a great breakfast or whatever, walking the hills. Who have you found in Ventura County? What's the hidden gem? You go, my gosh, I didn't know you retired here. You decided to move here.
Besides yourself? No, there have been a ton, and I think almost more important than who I've met is, I think this is one of the things we need to touch on, is it's difficult to find those people here. And we moved here 8 years ago, and only now are we discovering those hidden gems. Like, there's Star Trek artifacts in our county. There's all kinds of amazing people tucked away in little pockets of the county that you don't just bump into. And part of what we want to do here is help all those people get together and find each other, because I think amazing things can happen when we get all those people together.
Well, we have Cal State Channel Islands here. What kind of new things are happening out there? Because when I first went out there, I was there not as an inpatient, but when it was Camarillo State Mental Hospital, and then watched it convert, and they were trying hard. We helped to start their first health clinic and the like, but at first it really wasn't that academically oriented. It was more, getting kids through a college education. But things have changed, and what new kinds of programs do they have out there that? We've got robotics. I mean, that seems to be the big thing. Yeah,
the mechatronics lab is definitely great. Business has been doing well, and they have a great, considering where they are here in the valley, they have a wonderful ag program too. And combinations of those programs where they have engineers working with business department and they have engineers working with their ag department, they're developing some great projects that in a few years I think will be extremely successful.
So in terms of a new direction in education, we've been living with this Common Core curriculum, and everybody's got to teach to the test and the like. And we have a program coming up with Sierra Linda Elementary School, and with them, where the fifth graders are going to learn how to curate apps, like curating an art show, and try and pick out the right apps that don't have hidden costs inside, that actually accomplish something for health and fitness. And then the fourth graders are going to help make the website, and then they'll bring this information home to their parents. So we're really trying to disrupt education. Tell me how you feel about disrupting education.
Personal passion of mine. I think it's definitely something we need to do going forward. Our education system, well, I think it's great. The problem is it's slow to evolve and adapt. And if you look at the industries that you're preparing these children for, they're adapting much faster than education can. You look at my father. When my father had a job, it was the average person had a career that lasted 36 years. Nowadays, the average job is 4.4 years, and it's decreasing. And we work project to project and passion to passion, and we're more involved with critical thinking and vision and problem solving than memorization and simple tasks. Those things eventually will be automated or handled by computers. It's now we need these creative people, these STEAM-focused people who can really solve the problems that we have in the world today.
Well, STEAM-focused, what do you mean by STEAM?
Science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
And agriculture.
Yeah, depending on which A you like. Yeah, some people like arts and some people like agriculture, and I think they both fit. The focus on those criteria you're seeing a lot more these days with project-based learning or problem-based learning, where kids are actually solving problems in school instead of learning how other people did them or reading about them in a book. They're actually getting involved in solving problems in these core subjects, and the results and seeing what these kids can accomplish, much like the project that you speak of, it's amazing. We've been part of they have great programs locally where they have kids starting little businesses in middle school, and I've been floored by the things they've come up with. I mean, you'd probably be interested that we saw a middle school kid who came up with a throat lozenge that changes the pH of your mouth so that it's outside of the livable range for a rhinovirus. From a middle school kid, just brilliant little concepts. Another one had a soap that attached to bacteria and viruses and then fluoresced under infrared light. So there's an infrared light in the soap, and as you wash your hands, you can actually see if you have bacteria or virus in it to decrease passing bacteria and virus around in hospitals. Just middle school kids doing amazing things once you open up their mind and let them attack problems.
Well, okay, the kid, that's some stuff we need to talk about offline here or online, either way. But how about the grown-ups? I mean, we have kind of both ends of the age spectrum here. In Ojai, we I think lose more population every year than we gain. It's not quite like Santa Barbara, where old people go to visit their parents, but it's...
Yeah, I think there's another great opportunity there. I mean, we have a great population of people who were trained one way to do a job and to do a task, and a lot of them are unfulfilled in doing that task on a day-to-day basis. I like the concept of a side hustle. We have a lot of engineers here who are living comfortable lives but are not fulfilled by their day-to-day work. And I want to wrestle away a couple hours in the evening with those people and pair them with our kids who are learning STEAM. And there's a wealth of experience and knowledge that they could share with these up-and-coming problem solvers.
So how as a community, how can we help that to occur? When we had Foothill High School, which was, not that the kids were being left behind, but it was pretty close, and we were happy to get them started as Foothill Technology High School. And now when I go back, I take notes because they are eons ahead of me in some things. So how as a community can we help that to occur? We have certainly in February, March, the thing with Martin Shum and his
startup
group.
weekends. I think there are a lot of events starting to pop up on the calendar that are like that. Opportunities for parents and community and children to get involved. There's hackathons coming up in December. There's the startup weekend that's happening. There's other ways to get engaged. Get your kids out to things like TEDx. Get them thinking about these problems and seeing outside of their bubble and seeing that they can participate on a larger level. So I think there's going to be, even more than we've seen so far, there's going to be a lot more events on the calendar that are similar to those to get people to start thinking.
Well, as you know, people come seemingly from all over to come see me, because I don't really want to go see them. 'Cause I live in Ventura County. Why would I want to go to Texas in the middle of summer? And one of them was Chris Collins. I brought Chris Collins
Sure.
by, and really trying to tie everything that's available. Tell me a little bit about the project you're working on in Camarillo.
Sure. We have a yet-to-be-named project, a Ventura County Innovation Center, where we're really trying to bring together people from education, industry, startup community, and form an ecosystem, if you will. The problem, like we kind of talked about, is there's so many fantastic opportunities in the area, but they're very siloed. There's great engineering. There's kids doing mechatronics. There's kids in startups in garages. There's engineers tucked away at Amgen or Rocketdyne. And to get all these people into one building to have a conversation, the problems that we could solve would be amazing. And I would love to bring that general ecosystem to bear on the problems that are around us today.
Well, what kinds of, the building that I had Chris Collins see, Chris Collins is a former radio announcer and involved in the National Hockey League and Chinese National Hockey League and video on demand and all these things. And as he walked around with his crew there, what kinds of things did he see? What did he see? He saw a conference room?
Sure. Conference rooms and event spaces where we can hold these big events and start pulling in kids and people who want opportunities. Educational spaces where we could have boot camps or what I like to call micro education opportunities. A lot of times maybe a four-year education isn't the best thing for somebody, or there's a new technology that they just need to learn or brush up on to get other jobs or other skills. So we have an area for those kind of opportunities. Co-working space, so we can commingle designers and engineers and lawyers and accountants and all those amazing people, and then actually more firm office space and demo centers. So for example, we could do a medtech demo center and we could have all kinds of wonderful medical technologies there for hospitals to come see, bringing in all these people to Ventura County to see what amazing things we're doing here.
Yeah, of course, that's what I'm looking forward to, because people come to me with devices and beds and ventilators and all kinds of things, and just having some place where you can visualize it in your home or in the operating room or in the post-anesthesia recovery room without having to fly to Florida or drive to Las Vegas to see these things.
And
they should be right here.
Get into a working hospital that's trying to save people there. Yeah, here we can have a safe environment where we can show people real-world applications of cool technology that we're coming up with here.
Well, Eric, we're going to take on your brother next.
The better half of the dynamic duo.
Well, I think he's going to be the under 40
right.
famous person here in Ventura County.
40 under 40, yeah.
So that's a very important time. So thank you so much for getting part of your passion across for the disruption of our education or interruption of our education. It's going to be a volcano with ideas and products coming out.
I do hope so. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, Ventura, we're going to be right back. Welcome back, Ventura. Well, this guy may look a little bit like the guest before. This is Bryan Went. And Bryan, what's it like to have Eric as an older brother there?
It's pretty amazing. He's shown me life since the beginning. So I look up to him, and he's my sounding board and most of my education. So it's pretty nice. I'm pretty lucky.
So you didn't torment each other as small children?
No, it was always us against the world from an early age. It was us trying to figure out how to outsmart first the parents, and then take that and move it on to the rest of the world, and never had a fight. We didn't never raise our voice. We're pretty like-minded, but different enough to where it works out to be business partners as well.
So how did your business life start? Where did you start? Because he was telling us about some places around the world.
Yeah, we've been a few places. So originally, as the story goes, I was 15, my brother was 19, and he was down at UCSB, and he got this crazy idea for how to do a new motor for a car. So started from scratch, completely different, had nothing to do with the original ideas or anything like that, and they basically took every aspect of it and went, how do we make it better, how do we do it better, all the way down to how to make it run, let's do a different fuel, let's do a different transmission, let's do different wheels, tires, everything. So he brought home the motor plans one summer, and I happened to be working in a machine shop, and they gave me access to some really fun tools, which I shouldn't have had at 15, and I was there most nights alone and bored. So I just started making it. We couldn't find anybody to make it, and they told us it cost too much and materials, so out of scraps and whatever, we just started making this motor. And it started to work, and the more and more we made it, then we had to make different, the timing, the ignition, the fuel delivery, and all this stuff. And it got pretty crazy. It used to run on hydrogen, and that's hard to get a hold of, and it's a little bit volatile. And then to make it a little easier, we started doing compressed natural gas. We tapped a line in my mom's garage, and we would fill up this big giant tank in the front of a car and fill that up. And then, of course, you got a little bit of hydrogen left, and you need to fill up, so you put some compressed natural gas, so that makes hethane, and we'd have to re-engineer all the delivery system, the timing, and everything. And luckily, Erick's a math genius, so that was pretty easy for me. He wrote it all up, and stuff nobody had ever done or ever seen, and we got results that nobody ever thought you could, and we ruffled quite a few feathers with that first project.
So, and Jimmy Neutron is in here somewhere. So it sounds like a great childhood, one that you see in comic books. And so is Robert Downey Jr. going to play you, or is he going to play the...
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how that one goes. We have quite a few interesting stories with it, and we moved on pretty quick, so I'm not sure how much of it'll make the movie or not. So
here you are at 15. Did you ever turn 16?
Yeah, turned 16. We survived. We made it. It turned in, and did that project for a while, and it was costing us about $100,000 per prototype, and we didn't have that at 15 and 19, and no one would give us the time of day because we were doing things that we shouldn't be doing, like upsetting the oil industry and the car industry and stuff like that. So they were pretty upset, and we got death threats, and we got all this stuff, and of course we're doing it at our mom's house, like you do at that age. And so we moved on, and we grew up in the boom of Silicon Valley, and before it started, and it got into .com and stuff, so we started pulling these other projects to start kind of funding those projects, and that kind of took us to where we are today and got us around the world and just traveled around. And that's how we started our first company. Haven't looked back, and that's pretty much what we do.
What was your first company, just as your historian here?
Yeah, I mean, it was an alternative fuel company. I mean, that was the first one, was the car, was Eccentric Motors, and we ran it for a while, had a lot of tech, and put a lot of stuff into it, and then from there we got into just technology in general, just being smart, and a lot of stuff was coming out, and so we started creating other little names. So we've had lots of entities, lots of business cards over the years, and so much so our parents really don't know what we do. Everyone always thought we were in the Secret Service or something. They can't tell us. We couldn't tell them, and they didn't know, and they couldn't explain it because we wore too many hats and too many things, and trying to keep up with what we were doing because most of it was a few years out. So you come and tell them what you're working on, they're like, I don't know what that is. So it was fun stuff.
I retired from leading my clinic, and there were probably 10 different people came up to say nice things about me, and every single one of them to a one said, we have no idea what Dr. Landon is talking about, although it seemed to occur about 5 years later, so we depend on the holder of the decoder ring, who is my office manager, and she goes, it's okay, nobody understands what he says anyway, so who holds the decoder ring? Is it you, or your brother holds it, or?
We're pretty much interchangeable at this point. In the beginning, it just depended. He had if he probably had to divide it up, he was the smart guy, and I was more the mechanic and do it guy. I think Erick would think it too far, and I would just start. That was my way of learning and trying to catch up with him. I didn't really understand it at the time. I didn't really have the decoder ring, but if I could start to build it, then I could understand from that way. So,
yeah, I think a lot. We were talking about the innovation community here, and really, you go to any Starbucks, and there's somebody over there working on a business plan. They're getting the Wi-Fi and looking very serious and drinking lots of coffee, and then there they are a week later, and a lot of that happens with colleges too. They end up being just kind of giant social clubs. But I went down to UC Irvine, and great lab, great carbon nanotube, and great sensors, and about the only thing they came up with was it was going to tell you whether your baby was kicking. I go, really? Can't we do something more than that? So that academic, practical, it's not easy to bridge that gap. So how have you guys, where have you been? So now that you're here in Ventura County, you've been here for 8 years, where do you visit? Do you head off to UCLA, Caltech? Where are you looking for ideas?
We kind of go where the problems are. Our day-to-day is a corporate innovation lab, so large companies, when they can't solve their problems, they come find us and they outsource their problems to us, and it's all over the board, from new tech to creating ecosystems, saving cities, reducing carbon footprints. We never know what's going to get thrown at us. But with that, we start to visit the local areas, the colleges. We find people like yourself, which have great innovative minds and understand tech, and we kind of keep those in our minds as we go around, and then we start playing, putting the puzzle pieces together. And we don't always solve them right then and there, but we know that the puzzle piece is there somewhere, and every problem usually has 5 or 6 more as you start to look at the whole system. So you always remember those problems, you always remember those people in those tech, and maybe it's not quite ready yet, but you start thinking about it, a time comes when it is ready, or the prices become at a point where you can really utilize it.
What's that the context of the connectors?
Yeah.
We just never forget anybody or anything, and
Yeah.
so I'll have, again, lots of people get a 2-sentence email from me and go, oh, I have no idea. Just send the decoder ring along and take another half hour and tell me exactly what it is that you're thinking. Yeah. You introduced me the other day just when I was visiting the yet-to-be-named Innovation Center.
Right. Yep.
Although there'd be a contest. When I had 49ers season tickets before they were the 49ers, and they had this naming contest because they'd lost every football game, and the naming contest was, the guy was going to be named Big Sky, and that was a big thing to go, well, it's Joe Montana, Big Sky Montana. He went on to do good things, so I think just naming the building is going to be helpful, but what's happening inside already, and you introduced me to Todd from Box Build, so that being one of the people, if you just talk a little bit about Todd, because
yeah, sure. Todd's another one of those great people that's in the local area, one of those hidden gems you guys were talking about, that's busy doing great and amazing things and doesn't stop and take the time to advertise himself, and he's doing a lot of it outside the area, so we really don't get to see it. He doesn't have a big flashy building, doesn't spend a lot of money on advertising, and Todd's one of those guys that we ran into halfway around the world, dressed up in suits at some penthouse suite, and trying to do business, and then come to find out he's right down the road. And that's kind of where it gave us the idea to do this innovation center here locally. We found out a lot of our partners, a lot of the technology and everything is right here in our backyard, and we can do it in flip-flops and board shorts if we want, or do it down on the beach, or do it at the innovation center and dressed up in suits if we still want to do that.
So what is that process? Because there's a number of people involved in it. I do things outside of this place, and people talk about being on the grid and off the grid, and boy, if you're not inside Silicon Valley, you don't exist, and it's because there is a shorthand. There's a process that's so quick that they go through. So what are you doing to bring that process here? The lawyers and the planning and the business canvas, or what's your approach to how are we going to get this thing going? I hate meetings. I like doings, and if we sit around and meet all day, I'm not with that at all.
Yeah, to simplify it, I mean, from one with years of experience or working with people in projects, and you find that they're the right people, you can start bringing them into more and more projects, which is great. But really, when it comes down to it, like we did yesterday, we got the people with the tech, we got the people with the need, the people who can build it, and get them all in a room at the same time instead of going over emails or these big meetings. And let's just sit it down, hash it out, and it makes everything just move that much easier.
So what are the steps? So how the business canvas is one that I use to help try and get people to understand that you need manufacturing. That's the thing that Todd has. He's got manufacturing in China, and it's not in one place, so it's hard to steal. He's got the circuits in one place, and molding one thing is another place. Instructions for how to put it together is another place. So how can you run through that process? I don't know if you have a project that's applicable, but
yeah, I mean,
where do lawyers come in here? Where do business people? Where's this? And then, gosh, I've got the piggyback, buyback, and I'm giving up my equity, and I've been working on this company, and I don't want to give up, but I'm going to make $70 million, but I've given up 90% of my company. Well, that sounds okay. So,
man, that's a great question. We should do a whole show or 2 or 5 on that. I think to simplify it, I mean, I think from the business model canvas, or if you're starting a business, is to go out and find the need, find the customer, really understand what they have, find someone who's going to be ultimately paying you for what you're going to be doing, and start there and work your way back. I think sometimes we get too caught up. Oh, I gotta have a lawyer involved first. But you don't know if the idea is good or not. So for us, we usually start with problems and then find solutions, where a lot of people will come up with this great idea and then run around and look for a customer. And that's great, and you can do that, but go see them, go see what they really want, because you can over-engineer for hours and hours and hours and hours. But like we did yesterday, we sat down, this is exactly what we need, this is what we can make, and we had the engineer, Todd, the designer, and cool, I'll build that. And it was that, I mean, how long did it take, an hour?
Yeah.
And we were pretty much done.
Yeah, again, my friends who were visiting, flying back to Texas after being here for all 6 hours, and they talked about opening the emergency room door and sliding down the wing, and why are they going home? Right?
Stay forever.
They should, yeah, exactly.
And the son was single, you know, he can stay. Yeah. We got beautiful ladies and lots of great reasons to stay.
Right, Evan, you hear that? Come on back, come on back. So, so where do you see this going from here? So you're really looking at taking notes, really, at the whole process. I think everybody, as in Santa Clarita, they're learning, as Phoenix, Arizona, they're learning, Detroit, they're learning. This whole process of innovation is more than just going to Starbucks with a laptop and some free Wi-Fi and going on the internet all day. So,
absolutely, I think, you know, here we have this problem. You guys talked about those hidden gems and bringing those out, and not only finding out what they do well, and ideally what we're doing is get them all into a room, get them into a place where they can find each other and work together. And I think that's the key for any ecosystem that you're trying to build. And I think that was what's so great about Silicon Valley, is everybody was out, wanted to share, talked about what they did, and they sat down and they were open about it, and they shared their ideas. And they came out of there hiding holes or wherever they worked at night and got together. And I think that's the key for anywhere, is getting together.
yeah, I think that whole concept of sharing and not, we were talking a little bit earlier about you need a non-disclosure agreement, but then on the other hand, you do need to share and keep that open. Sure. Ventura County, it's time for you to get out of your hidey holes, you inventive, innovative people who know their customers and know what people want. So Ventura, it's time for you to get moving.
Mm-hmm.